Hi, good evening, everybody. This is Craig Blanchett, and this is our weekly um, health coach huddle up. And we do this every Monday right after the Optavia leadership webinar, which is at 5 p.m. Pacific. And so whenever that ends, usually it's around 5:30, we get started. So for those of you on the East Coast, that's 8 or 8:30. And so we have quite a few things we're going to talk about. Well, two things we're mainly going to talk about today. Um, the first thing is just a little bit, I kind of started going over some notes about the leadership call and some of the challenges that they had. And my observation actually wasn't that we've had challenges, but that they just took 30 minutes to go to try to help people with their emotional intelligence and be able to kind of get on board with the bigger picture, because sometimes we get stuck in what sucks about the world when we have problems, and so I thought that was interesting, as what we're trying to become with Optavia, that there's a statement that says the obstacle is the way. And that looks really nice on my wall. It even sounds kind of nice to say it. But when I have to actually go through the obstacle, no, that doesn't feel very good. Right? And so I stopped for a minute and I was just thinking about the reality of, it's always nice to talk about problems theoretically that are over there in the corner. But when you're actually going through it is when it really counts. And I guess my point is, the obstacle is the way is not a cliche catchphrase. It's true. And so whatever you're going through in your life, there is something that is earmarked to make you better because of it. And quite honestly, if you can just accept that as truth and then just look for the breakthrough, I'm telling you what, you'll be so far ahead of the game. I mean, seriously, so far ahead of the game. So, anyway, so that's just something just to kind of consider. I don't want to we can get derailed on those kinds of things all day long, and we can start talking about all the problems in our life. And that happens in our coaching calls a lot, with people. And the thing is that, yeah, all that's true. Okay, now what? Now what are we gonna do? Because, by the way, I was born without legs, so I just trumped all of you. I said that to clients before. Yeah, I understand, you couldn't mix your hot cocoa. Did you know I was born without legs? And they're like, what? And anyway, I think it's funny. Maybe you guys, I'll give you permission to laugh because I know I don't have legs. But it's just kind of funny. Like, okay, we can whine about whatever. You're whining about your hot cocoa. Mix it differently next time. Buckle up. Come on. At least you have hot cocoa, right? At least it's hot. So anyway, I just want to encourage you guys with that. I haven't personally had much of a. I mean, I've had people that have had challenges, and you just try to work through them, try to figure it out. One thing I will say is I am trying to be, in my attempt to be healthy, I don't want to take responsibility for things that aren't mine, right? And so one way what that looked like is, a client placed an order, and uh, he was running things really close to the margin. And then some certain things happened and he changed his mind. Right. And so none of that was me. That was his decision. And so, but then he got in a tight pinch and started pointing the finger at me. He expected me to write him a check. And I'm like, if I were to do that, that would be very unhealthy for me to try to save you, you know? full disclosure here. You were really clear about what we were doing. You said yes. I said, are you sure? Yep. Okay. Virtual handshake. And yeah, we went after it. So anyhow, so making sure that you take full responsibility for what is yours and zero responsibility for what is not yours. That's actually healthy, and it may feel weird if you have some work to do in that area. And I depending on where you're at, probably we all do. So anyway, just a little encouragement with you there, and we're gonna move on to the next piece. So
Craig, can I share?
Casina, yes, I don't want to spend too much time here, but yes, you go ahead.
Yeah, I've just been really encouraged. I had a couple clients that didn't get the notification for their processing, but they took full responsibility and said, "Hey, don't worry about it. You know, it's I should have paid attention to my own order." And that's been a huge blessing to me because I was worried. I was like, they're going to be mad at me, and then, but like you said, it's not my, they all know what date it comes out, and so even if they didn't get the email, they were fully prepared to take responsibility for that. And that's just been a blessing for me as a coach
Hmm.
too. So
Yep. Well, and it's. I mean, think about it. Was it a surprise they were going to get an order every month? Probably not. Did they wait to the last minute to change their order? That's called real consequences, real life consequences. You play in the freeway and there's cars. You might get hit, right? So anyway, yes. So that's just the way it goes. And so just quick transition and just trying to be able to figure out what you can do to be healthy and how you can help people. And by taking responsibility for stuff that's not yours does not help people, even though in the moment it may feel good. It may feel like it's not as confrontational. It's not actually healthy. So um, the next thing I wanted to talk through a little bit about, Tiffany said that the month of March is the biggest month ever. And so we talk about, um, uh, are you growing? And I've got just two little stats that I want to give to you guys, which is pretty exciting. Um, 98% of people that go on a diet, which if you're not working on a lifestyle change, you're dieting. Okay, so it's pretty much everything else. So 98%, this is according to the National Weight Loss Registry, 98% of people that go on a diet don't even get to their goal weight. Only 2% get to their goal weight. Think about that. First of all, wow. And out of the 2% that get to their goal weight, only 2% of them are able to maintain it for more than 2 years. So it's 2% of 2%. That is how bad a diet is. Now, what do I mean by diet? A diet is a temporary change that comes to an end. That's one way of saying it, right? It's sucking it up temporarily so that you can then let loose later. It's another way of talking about it. Um, it's a plan that eventually stops and you go back to the old way. Number of ways of talking about typically what a diet is. The diet in the sense that we're using it that fails. And so for you, when you are working with clients, we don't coach a diet, we coach a lifestyle change philosophy. It's really a way of living your life based upon focusing on the things that matter most to you and then building a bridge to go get them. And the bridge is usually over the challenges. You build a bridge over those challenges and you accomplish those things. That's what we do. And that's why it's very, very different. That's just some stats I've been talking. That's from the National Weight Loss Registry. It's the organization that keeps track of diet statistics and all that kind of stuff. And so if you have people that are thinking about like anything that says fill in the blank diet, right? That could be the grapefruit diet. That could be whatever it is diet. um, those have very, very fractional success rates. So aren't you glad you don't coach a diet? Um, and people are going to want to diet with you, by the way. And so you'll have to people will come to you saying, oh yeah, I want a lifestyle change, but they really have no idea what that means because they've never done it before. And I didn't know what it meant. Actually, I'd never dieted. I didn't know about a lot of things actually, but we're working it out, and all of you are as well. So next, for the remaining portion of our time, I wanted to talk a little bit about healthy happy hours or healthy socials, and what it's like. First of all, why do them, and what kinds of things you want to include. And the first thing I want to start with, and you may want to jot a few notes down here, is I want you to make sure that you don't forget to bring you and your intention to this healthy social that you create. And so that may seem a little bit scary to some of you, but think about after the social is over with, what are some things you want to be true about the experience? And you probably are coming up, well, I don't know. I mean, right? I don't know what you're thinking. So you may have to ask yourself that question over and over and over and over again. I've been asking myself that question for 5 or 6 years now. And I have a few answers that I've come up with. But do you want people going away saying, I can't wait till the next one of these? That would make sense. And if so, if you were to say that about an event you went to, what would you have done at the event? You, right? Do you want people to say, man, I need to bring my best friend to this thing? This was a blast. What would happen at an event when you left that you came to the next one and brought a friend? What kinds of things would take place? And you get to this can be your own, whatever it is. I mean, I suppose if you gave everybody $100, that could do it, but you may run out of money quickly. That might not be duplicatable. But I'm curious to hear who, I know Dawn and Kelly have done these more than I have. There's some good stories behind the first one there. Casina has done a few of them. I know Carrie's done some with Dawn. Patty's getting ready to plan one. And we just did one yesterday. And I can tell you what, the one thing that I forget regularly is a group photo. So you might just put that on your little checklist that says group photo, right? It'll really help you. But I'm curious, Shannon, Shannon was at the one that we were at last night. And I'm curious, when you left, what were some of the things that said, I'm glad I came? Or did you say, man, that was a waste of my time? I don't know, whatever it was for you. But what were some of the elements that you enjoyed, or that if you were going to have one, you would want? Oh, can you? Yeah.
Sorry, I had to unmute myself.
You're good. Thanks.
Last night, of course, I always like food, so the food was good. Healthy food, that was good. Mm-hmm. And I like that because then you get different ideas for yourself as well. And community. I got to meet some new people and talk to some regulars, and that's always fun because you don't always get to see them otherwise. So
So a couple things that she just said there. You want to make, so if you have food there, it's nice if you sit down, give people time to eat while they can mingle, because she liked meeting the people and liked eating the food. Well, you can actually combine those two events pretty easily. It's actually pretty normal in our culture to eat and talk. And so that is something that is intentionally planned at the socials that we do. I know that Don and Kelly do that as well. They have a meal, and then it's the meal and mingle time. I just made that up. That seemed to go pretty good. You know, the M&M. Yeah.
Oh, I also like the body composition thing, the machine. That's cool.
Yeah, and so
oh, sorry, that encourages people to come every month because you get to check your progress. Okay, that's all I'll say.
Yeah, no, it's good. And so I happen to invest in a body composition. I mean, you can get them anywhere from about $50 on up to whatever. And so that's but if you didn't have that, maybe people come and just did their weight, or I don't know. If that's something that you find value in yourself, figure out a way to do some kind of a progress check. Doesn't have to be a fancy machine. It can be just something, but that's it. So there's a good thing. That it's you could even have like a running tally of every month, and you kind of keep track on a board for folks. Then you kind of have your champion, everybody wins, and you just kind of give some accountability. I'm not saying do that or don't do that, but that's an idea. Yeah. Dawn and Kelly, I know you guys have a couple of things that you're very intentional about including. And do you want to share just a few of the things that you guys make sure that you include in your events? First of all, what are some of the reasons why you have them? Like what?
Well, I guess for us, community is huge. So building that community, we want it to be a place where people feel comfortable bringing their friends and where they feel encouraged. I think that's really important for us. We want it to be a fun time. Fun is huge. Mm-hmm. And I like healthy food as well. So that's always great. So some of the things that we always want to make sure we include is we like to always include some type of opportunity for somebody to share their story, which is always fun and inspirational. And then we also like to include a chance for whoever may be there to celebrate their progress, whether that's on or off the scale. So just kind of a general sharing time is always really fun. And then we try to include something that adds value, whether it's recipes or tips or a fun game that teaches something. But that's kind of the flow that we've had.
Mm-hmm. So it's an activity or a valuable thing that they can kind of say they had a takeaway, or they got something of value.
Exactly. Although I have to say we played Bunko one time, and it had no health value other than it was just a whole lot of fun, and we laughed a lot, and it was great. So,
that's a perfect idea.
Yeah, it's good. It's fun.
That's interesting. Whenever I've played Bunko, they always have snacks at each table, and so it's not a habit of health game for me personally. I eat lots of M&Ms during Bunko, but you probably had something different at yours. It's healthy Bunko, so you had ice chips at each table, probably, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
So I don't know, Carrie, did I miss anything we should add?
I just typed in door prizes. I think we have some pretty cool door prizes, so it gives people something to look forward to that they might win. And Don has a really cool door prize slip that they can write what they're working on. And so it gives them a chance to think about their own health, write some stuff down, and then we have contact information to follow up. So I think that's kind of cool. And Dawn is really good. She usually opens up the time and just making it super comfortable. So there's connection, and she acknowledges the fact that we're not having people gather so we can tell them about the program. It's just focusing on the other things like education, connection, and making it clear that anybody can come. except for little kids. We give them away, but we like big kids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's awesome. And that's so door prizes and a way for them to share their success or a challenge or win the prize by leaving their information. That's one of the benefits. If people come and you don't know really who came, you can't invite them easily the next time. And or if someone was a guest, how will you know how to invite them again or build them in community or whatever? And so the door prize allows you to collect the contact information so you can bring them into community. And one of the things that I do at my event is I always cover the 4 components. I didn't always do that. And one of the reasons why is I wanted to just be really generic and really the things that I value after being around it 8 or 9 years. And the first couple that I've had recently, people started asking questions. So how do we? So what is it? This is just so vague. I came because I wanted some answers, and it's just like I don't even know what you guys do. Is it a pill? What is it you do? Right? Is it a workout? And so in the context of just trying to make it community and fun and health, the people that were guests actually came with a need, and it was frustrating for them because I wasn't giving them like an on-ramp or perspective or any clarity. And so the last couple ones, I just run through the 4 components, and this is my mindset. I want to give lots of on-ramps where if people want to get on the highway to optimal health, they can get on, but they can also stay in the lane they're in. There's no like, oh, the road ends and you have to get on the highway now. It's none of that stuff. There's no pitch. There's no, hard sell. There's nothing to sell. But I will stop and say, here's a little bit about the structure of why our program is lifelong transformation and not temporary success. And I tell them about the coaching, about the community, about the training, and about the logistical blessing of our fuelings. And that's about as far as I go. And at least they have some context for how to ask questions or how to follow up. So those are a couple, just a little pieces that I've made sure are in there. So thank you. And by the way, one thing you just saw, which you may not realize, is that Dawn and Kelly have teamed up with Carrie and Ben. So the Armstrongs and the Carpenters, and they co-host, they collaborate, they share the blessing of hosting within their coaches group. But Carrie and Dawn are the sort of the main instigators of it continuing going, and it is so much more enjoyable to share the blessing and the planning and working with somebody like that. So that's one of the encouragements I have with you guys, is to find somebody to do that with. It could be a client of yours, it could be a friend of yours, they could be a coach, but just find somebody to share that loves to do parties and loves to get people together over something meaningful, quite honestly. So what kind of questions do you guys have? Because I want to challenge you guys with if you've ever planned any type of a birthday party or you've ever had any type of anything, then do something in the name of health and get some people together and share some wins, share your story, give somebody some hope, and not just a face full of cake, which is what usually happens at parties, right? They might be really excited when they're eating the cake, but when they go home, they won't be. You know how that goes. So Debbie, go ahead. You'll have to unmute yourself.
Okay, I just wanted to tell you real quick too, is that Aaliyah texted me this morning, who was at the social yesterday, and she really had a lot of fun. She thought it was really a great thing, and so just FYI, what
That's
you
great.
were hoping to achieve happened, where somebody wants, and she said she can't wait for the next one.
Perfect.
So she is excited, and she was supposed to bring a friend before this last night, but so I wanted to let you know that. But I have a question. When somebody says that they're going to come, so you invite them, and that they don't make it, either they cancel or they just didn't come. Do you, Dawn and Kelly and Carrie, do you guys just kind of send a message saying, "Oh, really missed you. Sorry we missed you last night. It was, here's the next one that's coming up"? Do you guys follow up on people that said that they might be there or in last minute canceled, or just didn't show up when they said they thought they would?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's really an important key. In fact, we follow up with the people who did go and thank them for coming. We follow up with the people who said they were going to come and didn't show up and said, "Dang, we missed you and hope you can come to the next one. Here's when it is." And I think that's one of the huge values of doing these, is it creates an authentic reason for us to connect over health with people. So whether they are friends, family, clients, people who've mentioned health to you before, people who who are, just working on their health, maybe they're doing something else, we invite everybody. And so it just gives us a great opportunity, and we'll have some of the best conversations come out of inviting people who can't come, and maybe they can't come, but then they'll be curious about, well, tell me more about what this is you do, or, I really want to work on my health. And then the conversation just goes from there. So it's just a great platform to just spread a little healthy love around and draw people into your community.
Perfect. That's great. I know one of the things too that I challenged both Martin and Debbie is because we have some people that are coming to the events, and there's one element where you bring yourself there, and then you get to a point where it's not just getting yourself there, but who are you bringing, right? And so I told Martin and I told Debbie, "Hey, next time come, bring somebody." And I know sometimes people said yes and canceled, but both of them came with a guest to last night's Healthy Social, right? And so it was like, I know that was satisfying to have somebody there, and then you left and they felt value, and now you know how they'll feel when they bring somebody to the next one. And that's one of the things, if we don't bring somebody and we only bring ourselves, that's not growing, right? That's dying, actually. And so anyway, Bernadette, I think you had something to add there. You'll have to unmute yourself. There you are. Can you get yourself unmuted? Let me try. Oh, I did it. There you go. I can hear you.
So one of the things that happened to me, I hosted Carrie and Dawn's healthy happy hour at my house, and I invited a friend, and she brought 2 people, and I just signed them up this past week. They're now my client. So that's a huge benefit.
Yeah. And that's probably, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
If people get there, they experience a community they didn't know existed. And they're like, this sounds great. This sounds fantastic. And so that is wonderful. That doesn't always happen. Some people come for a few times, right? And the main thing is come and bring your value and add your little personality to the mix, and that's what community is. So thank you, Bernadette. And it's wonderful. Yeah, way to go to invite somebody. And wow, fantastic.
Craig, one of the things
Christina,
that I do is I have my cards for the next one printed up, and I hand them to my guests as they're leaving and say, "Hey, bring your friends next time." And then my landlord came to this past one in February, and he emailed me the next day and was like, hey, can I put this in the newsletter for the next one? And I was like, yes, sure. Yes. So he sent it out to all of my neighbors and in my apartment complex. So that was really cool.
Yeah, that's great. And by the way, Christina and I were talking about her, because she loves throwing parties. And I was like, well, throw a party with a healthy theme. And she was nervous and figured it out. And then, so she finally just, I kept telling her, the only way this will happen is you put it on the calendar, you start with the date, and trust me, it will happen. And because I just want you to let you know, that's the same recipe I used for having mine. Actually, Dawn put it on the calendar, and then I showed up. And she said, what are we doing? I said, I have no idea. It's my first one. But that's another story for another time. So pick a date on the calendar. I recommend giving yourself 2 weeks notice, minimum. If you can plan it for a month out, that gives you 4 weeks for people to save the date, because people are busy people, but they're not just busy, they're fickle. And so if it's not quite the coolest, it's kind of an awkward, they're not sure, they'll be waiting for something cool that they know is cool to show up, right? And so give them enough time and personally invite them. Like Casina, these are some things that I think you're amazing at, and I would love for you to join me. Can I pick you up? Or something like that. You do that kind of an invitation, and the likelihood you have one person come is really high, right? But if you just send a blanket out to a bajillion people, no one will come, because those people were invited by a bajillion other people to do a bajillion other things, and they're busy. One of the things that we had it at Dan and Lynette Malman's house, and he took a stack of the invitations, and he took 2 to 3 days of walking in his neighborhood for about an hour and a half, and went door to door and invited all of his neighbors who had to just walk a few blocks to show up. And they had probably 6 people show up, and they had 10 couples cancel the day of. So they were going to have a massive house of people, right? And so I don't know if you've thought about it, but when you have a healthy social at your place, to go door to door, get a reputation for being that person that cares about health. You just get that reputation. I'm that healthy. I'm the person that is working on my health. You know, wow, that's a great reputation. Not that I'm a snob and a know-it-all. That's a bad reputation. But a reputation that I'm not as healthy as I want to be, and I sure need help. Who's in with me? Who wants some? Let's do this together. That's a wonderful reputation. So think about that. Think about inviting people as you come. And if you're not very good with getting people to show up, get better, right? Increase your effort. You know, if you invited 10 people and no one showed up, maybe invite 20 people. And if that doesn't work, invite 30 people. I invite about 400 people to our events through Facebook. It's probably more than that. That's just the Facebook invitations. And we get about between 15 and 25 people that show up. So, but just keep working at it. You know, just from what Debbie said, is that her friend who's not on plan, but Debbie's had conversations, and she's like, wow, this is a pretty fun group of people. You know, and then actually, I don't know if you know this, Debbie, but she pulled me aside and said she doesn't have a job right now. And so finances are a challenge. And I said, do you realize that our program is going to help you work through all problems or all challenges between you and being as healthy as you want to be? And finances is just one of them. So let's talk about that and come up with a plan to help you through that one. You know?
Yeah, I actually heard you say Coach Explorer when I was talking to Lynette when we were saying goodbye. And I've been meaning to touch base with you to see what you talked to her about, because I heard you say that. Well, we have something about a Coach Explorer. And I'm like, you know.
Yeah, I know. Your radar went off. Yeah, well, I said, what if we explored and see if this was a fit? I have no idea if it would be. I don't even know what your skills are. Let's get together and figure those out.
Right,
So
right.
follow that up.
And I don't know if you heard me when she was saying something about the next one. And I was like, oh, yeah, and we could carpool together. You know, because it's in Ridgefield, so it's like 40 minutes away. I'm like, hey, we'll carpool together, you know. So I'm getting, you know, so I think she's planning on coming. So I'll see her on Saturday. So
yeah. So so those are a couple of just some ideas. But one of the first things I would just want to encourage you with is that we offer more than 2% of 2% success, right? We have a lifestyle program. And it's hard work, because being healthy is hard work. It's also freaking amazing. Am I right? Who's with me? Like, right? It feels good to be part of what we're doing. Yes, personally. And so think about the experience that you'd like to create. So lead from the future. So you go to the future till after your event's over with, and you look around and you say, what happened? And then you come back to today and go work your way towards building that. So lead from the future, act in the now. Pick a date and reverse engineer that. Start inviting people. Figure out the kind of experience you think is valuable. All these things will make a difference from it being a mechanical event to it being something where your heart shows up and people really feel connected. And that's a big difference. And so so I want to invite you / challenge you guys to grow. And so in the next 30 days, sometime between now and April 15th, that you guys get a date on the calendar. Just pick the date. Friday night, have it on a weeknight. You can do it a Saturday afternoon, Sunday evenings. Sometimes we do them at 6 on Sunday evenings, and we're thinking about rethinking that because we've done it enough, and sometimes that's a challenge. So we're thinking maybe a 4 o'clock on Sunday, so people get home in time to get ready for work the next day because they still have a job, one of those things. And so think about some different days. Pick a day that you would like to work. Maybe you want to do an hour and a half. We think 2 hours. If you're going to eat, 2 hours is a pretty good thing. But all of those things are details that we can work out. Once make a decision that you like community and you want to help people. Hopefully you've already made that decision because you're all coaches. And so now this is one of those ways where we can have real community with people that are local to us. And so I want to challenge you guys to do that. And then if you need help planning it, I've done quite a few of these, and Dawn's done quite a few. Cassina's done. So we have some resources from some people that have done these. But I won't. I'm not your mom. I'm not your parent. I'm not your boss by any stretch. But I want to encourage you to go have some fun and take some risk and get a little bit uncomfortable and literally have some fun with it. So put a time on the calendar and have your first one, or team up with somebody in your area and have one. And does that sound reasonable, guys? You think you're able to do that? Yeah. And if one person shows up, you're ahead of the game. Nobody showed up to my first one. So, I mean, I was there, but I had a great time. Any questions as we're finishing up? No? Is anybody kind of scared or reluctant? You're like, well, it sounds neat, but I don't know about that. Eileen, did you have something you want to share? Oh, I can't hear you.
I think it's a great idea.
Oh, now I can.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
I think it's a great idea, but yeah, scared.
Mm-hmm.
But I might need some help.
Yeah.
You met Charisse the other day, and I'm back up here in Seattle, so I was thinking maybe in the next few weeks, maybe her and I can work on something. Maybe we could work on something with your help.
Charisse is spectacular, and I think that is a wonderful idea. Absolutely. Yeah. I say go get them, Eileen. You betcha.
Yeah. Well, so maybe you can help me.
Of course, I'm happy to help you. And I'll help you. You got the only thing I can't help you with is deciding that you want to do it. That's what you guys need to do. And then you pick a date, and then I'll help you fill in the blanks.
Okay, great.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay,
All of you.
thanks a lot.
That's not just for Eileen, although Eileen's pretty great. But the rest of you, I'll do it for you too. So.
Yeah. Thank you. And then my daughter's here too, so she we would probably be providing the. Oh, I don't know if we can or not, because my daughter's moving. That might not be good, but maybe we can. We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Because maybe
let's talk about it.
She could do it at her place.
We'll figure out all those
place.
logistics, because all those things need to be solved, and we'll figure it out. You pick the date, and we'll figure out the place, and we'll figure out the events, we'll figure out all those kind of things. So thank you, Eileen. That's perfect.
Okay, we'll talk about it. Okay, thanks a lot.
You betcha, absolutely. Yeah, all right. Same with you, Diane. You've got. I know you're out in Arizona, but figuring out a time to have one of those, and there's even been times I did one with Adriana in Texas. And I was on video conference, and I talked to him about a couple things and answered questions. And because she was so nervous because she didn't know what to say, right? So I zoomed in to Texas, and so there's a lot of ways to figure it out. But she had some people over, and they got healthy because of it. So, all right, you guys. Well, that's the dealio. Next week, I'm going to be on a cruise, but I know there's an opportunity. There's no leadership call that night, so I'm thinking that we'll take next Monday off, unless I post something on the Health Coach page. But I'm happy to have you meet. I'd probably have Dawn and Kelly or something host next week. But right now, as of now, we'll take next week off, and we'll look forward to talking with you guys in 2 weeks after we get back from the cruise. All right, guys. Have a good evening. See you later, everybody.
Have fun.
Yeah, you're welcome. And you bet. Thank you. Bye-bye.